Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Central Europe. I hope everybody is having a productive and healthy week so far. This is a members chat class. Of course, everybody is welcome to watch. And in this class, we are looking at reading strategies, staying the course. It means going step by step, focusing and maximizing your band score. Hi, Sammy. Nice to see our members already in this class. Hi, Nazir. While we wait for some more members to join in, this class is presented to you by aehelp.com. For the academic IELTS, please visit us there. Join our premium package. For the general version of the test, visit gieltshelp.com. On both of our websites, we have loads and loads of great materials for you. This is our academic website here with the blue background. You can click that big red button to join. We are British Council IELTS Registration Test Center partners. So we know quite a bit about the test. And of course, for the general version of the exam, it's the green background. Click that big red button to join us there. If you have questions, members or students, you can always feel free to send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com and I will gladly answer your inquiries. Right now, reading followed by an all-chat class in 90 minutes, which will be listening part 1 and 2. And then, of course, we'll have more classes tomorrow and on Saturday. Let's get going with today's reading section. This is coming out of test number 4 in your second exam book, and it's passage number 2 from test number 4. So members, when you are in the reading section and you get to a fresh passage, what's your first step? What do? So what's step number 1? This is a little bit of review, and it's the first step to staying the course, being nice and focused and using correct strategy to systematically maximize your reading score. So what's your first step? Bekjan says, read the title. Yeah, and Bekjan, I think there's a little bit more that you're saying there. So read the title and do what? So read the title carefully and what? I'm glad that all of you are getting the concept of reading the title. Yeah, so Sammy says, read the title, visualize the content. Using critical thinking, right? Students, I really want you to have that concept of critical thinking etched into your mind. Don't skim any paragraphs, Musafir, that will not help you. Okay, so read the title carefully and visualize, predict the content using critical thinking, meaning asking what, why, how. So let's do that a little bit here. So the title of this passage is Why Do Some People Have Red Hair? So clearly that is the question that we're looking to answer here. When you visualize this title, Why Do Some People Have Red Hair? What comes into your mind? So what do you actually see when you visualize why people have red hair? What do you see? What comes into your mind? Okay, I know for me, right away, certain European nationalities come into mind, specifically Scotland and Ireland, where I know there are lots of people with red hair. Elena says a person with red hair. Yeah, so for me, it's a Scottish person with red hair playing the bagpipe Okay, that's what comes to mind for me. Begjon says people with different colors of hair. Sure. All right. Mostly people with European heredity, especially heredity meaning genetics, of course, especially Scottish, Irish, and English. That's what comes into my mind for me. Okay. Neha says somebody who's fond of getting their hair colored. But Neha, here the question is, why do some people have red hair? Maybe because of coloring, but I doubt that's what the passage would focus on here. So answer this question, okay? So what is red hair? It is a color of hair within the human population that is a bit orangey. Okay. Why do people have red hair? And I think Charlie was already mentioning that it's probably genetic. Okay. So genetics gives people red hair. But why would they have red hair? So what's the usefulness of having red hair? The more you can predict, the better you will understand. Okay. So Hemant says they're born in a particular area. Bhumi says it's the environment. Sure, it's a result of environmental pressure. Elena says it's artificially colored. Okay, yeah, sure, all right. And how does it work? So, okay, let's get that one out of the way. They color their hair, all right, and if they don't, then how do they do? How do they get red hair? So, yeah, Bhumi says from the parents, right? So, from parents, they inherit certain genes from their parents. Yeah, exactly. All right. So that's the kind of quick critical thinking that you have to think of. Now, what's the usefulness of it? That would be another question that I would ask. So, what is the value of red hair? Can anybody give me an answer for that one? So, nature doesn't keep accidents around for a long time unless they're valuable. So, why would people have red hair? What's the utility? What's the usefulness in the environment other than looking different, Charlie Sen? What do you think? Is there any value to it? Maybe they can hide better in certain kinds of backgrounds, like in the forest during fall time when the leaves are turning orange, right? Camouflage is one of the ancient adaptive qualities of many animals. Okay, Sammy says maybe to look better. Yeah, look, hey, if people look desirable, there's a better chance that they reproduce and survive, right? So it's possible. So Bhumi says protect against some harsh environmental condition. Yeah, absolutely, that's possible. Okay, to look more attractive. That could be an advantage as well in adaptation as well. Why not? Okay. All right. So that's kind of what I would do. Okay, students. So step number 1, read the title and go through the what, why, how, visualize. Ask about 3, 4 good questions and think about the answers. You will do much better understanding the passage. All right. Step number 2. of course, is take a look at the questions. So step 2, skim questions that have information contained in the passage, and skip questions that are extra or potentially false information. It would be better to say potentially extra or false information, but anyway. Okay, so let's do that. Let's take a look at these questions. We're going to do the full passage together, members, so we're going to go nice and smooth here. Here are the first set of questions. Of course, it's passage 2, so it's continuing from question 14, meaning passage 1 had all of the questions from 1 to 13. The 3 passages in your academic version of the exam and the general, it's a little bit more, will be 40 questions, okay? So here we go. Read with me. Now, this is a reading class, and for all of our viewers, not just our members, make sure to read, okay? So practice your reading here and read aloud, okay? Aloud means in a way that you can hear yourself. That's really valuable, so read aloud. All right, choose no more than 2 words from the passage for each answer. Write your answers in boxes 14 to 17 on your answer sheet. All of this information is contained in the passage. If there are some unfamiliar words, don't worry about them. Read these quickly because you will read them again when you're answering them. So red hair is common in most countries from Western Europe. Gene is one which can only be transmitted from generation to generation if both parents possess it. Evolution and are both causes of the origin of red hair. In addition to red hair, the MC1R gene causes many to occur on the skin. Now here we have a yes, no, not given type of question. We do not read this because it potentially contains extra and false information. That's confusing. Question 22 to 26, complete the summary using the list of words A to H below. Write the correct letter A to H, not the words, but the letters A to H in boxes 22 to 26 on the answer sheet. Okay, and here is our summary. Redhead misconceptions. This is a subtitle. I pay close attention to that. Redheads have suffered from a number of negative stereotypes throughout their history. I'm a little bit slower to read this one because this kind of question can really help me understand the passage. Okay? So, redheads have suffered from a number of negative stereotypes throughout their history. Notable, in some cultures, they were thought to lack a. Today, conversely, they are thought to be enjoyable and people. The perception that redheads are dying out is extremely because the MC1R gene is recessive and can miss. Redheadedness has been around for thousands of years, and though the of redheads in the world may decrease, they are here to stay. Okay, so we've looked at those. There's our list of possible answers. We don't worry about those. Doesn't do us any good to read them. So now we go back to the passage and read each paragraph carefully. Okay? All right, students. So here we're going to do some nice fluid reading. This is step 3. Read the passage fluently. While you read each paragraph, visualize the information and think about the main points. Okay? So step 3, read each paragraph carefully. In 8 to 12 minutes. If you're a slower reader, 12 minutes. If you're a faster reader, 8 minutes. In 8 minutes, paying close attention to visualizing the content of each paragraph and thinking about the main points. What, why, and how. Okay, always that critical thinking. All right, so let's do that together. Again, here, slow and steady. So slow and steady wins the race. We're going to do this together, all right? And then we're going to interact and answer some questions. So Musafir, Elena, Bekjan, Bumi, Charlie, Nazir, everybody, here we go. Nice and loud, okay? All right. Why do some people have red hair? Red hair is an exceedingly rare trait, especially in areas of the world such as Asia, Africa, and South America. In Western Europe, however, red hair is relatively common. In some countries, such as Scotland, red hair is more common than blonde hair. Additionally, countries with historical immigration from Western Europe, such as the United States and Canada, also show high incidences of red hair. Red hair has been around for thousands of years, if not far longer. There are ancient Greek accounts of redheads and even ancient Egyptian ones. The story of why people have red hair is interesting and has to do with genetics, evolution, and geography. Okay, the introduction is especially important, students. What is it about? It's about the geographical locations of red hair. It says they're rare in Asia, Africa, South America, but common in Western Europe and places where there is a lot of immigration from Western Europe, like US and Canada. Also, here, very importantly, because it's the introduction, pay close attention to all of this information, because this is likely somewhere in here, the thesis. And in fact, the thesis starts here, okay? So there is your thesis statement, and your thesis statement shows you what the content of the essay will be, okay? So it says that the story of why people have red hair is interesting and has to do with genetics, evolution, and geography. So I'm sure we are going to read about these three important points, okay? So always pay very close attention to the thesis of the introduction, and that should remind you to write a good thesis in your task 2. Is that clear? Members, give me a thumbs up, emoji, or got you, or yes, because that is super, super important, okay? Capturing the thesis statement of each passage and reminding yourself to write a good thesis for task 2 is absolutely super, super important, okay? It can be the big difference between a band 6 and a band 7 or 8. All right, thank you for those thumbs up. You guys are awesome. Girls are awesome. Okay, so thesis statement, pay attention to it, okay? Pay attention to it. All right, here we go. Let's keep reading. And the speed that I'm reading, students, it's kind of that medium speed. It's actually a little, maybe on the faster side, 8 minutes for the whole passage. Okay, here we go. So now, nice and smooth. The gene for red hair, right? Genetics in the thesis. The gene for red hair is what is known as a recessive gene, which means that the gene can only be passed down to the next generation if both parents possess the gene. And even then, the probability is only 25%. But it is important to note that not only redheads carry the gene for redheadedness. Rather, in some countries, up to 40% of the population carries the gene. This accounts for the birth of a redheaded child to non-redheaded parents. The parents may not be redheaded themselves, but they carry the gene, and if their ancestry was to be analyzed, there would surely be redheads up and down their family tree. What is it about? It's about the gene for redheads. It's a recessive gene, and it's passed from parents to children. Okay. Let's keep going. The specific gene. So this is generally the gene. Now the specific gene. The specific gene for red hair is called the melanocortin 1 receptor, MC1R, and was discovered in 1995 by Professor Jonathan Rees at the University of Edinburgh. This gene is responsible for red hair, along with other tertiary attributes associated with red hair, pale skin, and myriad freckles, for example. Okay, so here I would really be careful to visualize, okay? Meaning that if this person has red hair, okay, well, there's my red hair, then they will also have a myriad of freckles, okay, and pale skin, meaning very fair skin, all right? So that's where I visualize this red-headed person with the freckles, red hair, pale skin, right? Visualizing, remember, okay? But why did people ever have red hair in the first place? The answer, some scientists think, has to do with evolution and geography. The places where red hair is relatively common, Northern Europe and Western Europe, have lower sunshine levels than other parts of the world. This lack of sunshine resulted in a lack of vitamin D production in its inhabitants. Exposure to the sun being humans' main source of the nutrient, which can result in rickets, a condition which can lead to the deformity of bones. One of the side effects of the MC1R gene is that redheads more easily absorb vitamin D due to the low amounts of eumelanin in their bodies. On one hand, this results in a particular predisposition to sunburn. However, it also allows redheads to avoid rickets, even when underexposed to the sun. So of course now I'm visualizing sunshine, low levels of this EUMA something content, but high levels of the vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin, and maybe a little bit of sunburn on the chin here and on the face, okay? So easily burnt by the sun. So I'm visualizing all of that information as I read through this paragraph. Okay, clear everyone on that? All right, that looks like that. Okay, so that's my visualization of the red-headed child that's getting a little bit burnt by the sun, but absorbing lots of vitamin D because they have low amounts of this EUMA something, because they have this gene. Okay, that's the logic. All right, let's keep going here. Nice and steady. Redheads also have a number of other curious attributes that are associated with the MC1R gene. First, they have a higher tolerance for pain than non-redheads. Studies have shown that redheads require up to 20% more anesthesia for sedation than non-redheads. Second, redheads are more sensitive to cold temperatures. This is especially curious because redheadedness originally developed as an adaptation for cold, sun-poor environments. Evolution is not perfect, and it may be the case that maladaptation to cold temperatures is the price redheads pay for adaptation to low levels of sunlight. Third, redheads bruise more easily than non-redheads. There does not seem to be any evolutionary reason for such a trait, though it certainly does contribute to the negative stereotype of redheads as less physically capable than non-redheads. All right, so those are some more traits connected to redheadedness. Visualize, remember. This is not the only negative stereotype that has cursed redheads throughout the centuries. Oh, just give me 1 second. I'll bring you back on board here and have a peek at my daughter, who is not a redhead. She's a brunette. There is a very famous redhead, though, and maybe some of you are visualizing that. There's a fast food company called Wendy's, which has Wendy, a girl with pigtails, who is a redhead with freckles. I wonder if some of you know the image that I'm talking about. Wendy's, it's kind of like McDonald's, and their logo is a redheaded girl. Okay. All right, here we go. So let's keep reading. Again, this paragraph, this is not the only negative stereotype that has cursed redheads throughout the centuries. At times in history, redheads have been thought to be witches, evil, unclean, and soulless. Today, these stereotypes have thankfully given way to more cheery stereotypes of redheads as fun and quirky individuals. Okay, again, lots of visualization there. All right, Elena says, yes, I remember. Heman says, yes, yummy burgers. Yeah, Wendy's has better burgers than McDonald's or Burger King as well. All right, let's keep going. Recent years, a perception has been created that redheads are dying out and will eventually become extinct as a genetic category. This is patently false, patently meaning completely. Red hair as a recessive gene has the ability to skip generations and return in full force. Red hair has been around for thousands of years, perhaps as many as 100,000 years, and there are no signs of its forthcoming extinction. While redheads may make up a shrinking percentage of the world's population due to higher growth among non-European populations, the redhead gene is here to stay. Okay, all right. So again, visualizing about the persistence of redheads. And now let's answer some questions. All right, here we go, students. So let's see how well we can do. And again, when you do good reading and you go nice and steady and you have clarity, you have a good understanding of the passage, you maximize your understanding of the passage. Yeah, very nice, Dr. Krishna. Wisely from Harry Potter also has red hair and has two twin brothers as well, I believe. I think the whole family is mostly redheads in Harry Potter there for his friend. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so it's good to think of something like that, absolutely. Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure most of us can think of one or two famous redheads if we think about it. There's a very famous comedian called Carrot Top, and he has also got obviously big red hair. Okay, so just the next step here, students, so step number 4. When you can link information, students, to real ideas that you know, like Wendy's and Harry Potter, it becomes much clearer, okay? So step 4 is answer the questions. You should be able to answer about 60% of the questions without having to look back at the passage if you did a good job reading, visualizing, and thinking critically. Okay, so 6 of 10 questions. So if you think about it, for 40 questions, you should be able to answer about 24 questions without looking back at the passage. So that's thinking of all 3 passages. Okay. All right. So here we go. Let's do this together, students. So red hair is common in countries with something from Western Europe. What do you think is the answer here? So Charlie Sen says immigrants. Red hair is common in countries with immigrants from Western Europe. Immigrants will work. Yeah, or immigration background. Yeah, all of those back, John, they'll take that. Those are correct answers, okay? If you're looking at the exact 2 words, they were historical immigration. Okay. And you do want to be as specific as possible, but as long as you have immigration, as long as you're sticking to 2 words, you're going to pick up the point. Okay. Um, I wouldn't say people. People is not going to get you the right answer. It does say from the passage. So to be on the safe side, students, and I think they would take immigrants, Charlie, because it's a correct answer. But to be on the safe side, if you can't remember historical immigration, then definitely think about the word immigration, and you remember that's at the beginning of the passage. So you go back to the introduction and you look for that word, immigration, and you find it here, immigration, and you see, historical immigration. So that's worth a quick check because that only takes you a minute. Okay, so it's 2 words from the passage. So you might as well get the 2 perfect words from the passage. Okay, historical immigration. Now, it's always better to think about the answer first and then look, not look and then try to get the answer. That's how you make mistakes. That's a really important tip. That's why skimming and scanning is not so effective. Okay, so this is a super, super duper important tip. Always think of the answer before looking in the passage. So if you think immigration, okay, you are on the right track and you're going to find historical immigration. Okay, does that make sense, students? So you know the answer, but you're just checking for the accuracy of the answer, because this question does ask you for 2 words from the passage, up to 2 words from the passage. And the safest way to make sure that you pick up that point is to include both the word historical and immigration. Okay? All right. Let's keep going. This is not the same as trying to skim or scan for these words. Okay? A something gene is one which can only be transmitted from generation to generation if both parents possess it. Now, here is an answer where you probably don't have to look at the passage again. What do you think it is? So what's going to be the answer for this one? This is one of those questions where you shouldn't have to read the passage. You'll remember that it's in the second paragraph, but you don't need to look. And a lot of you got it, recessive. The only time you want to check this if you're not sure of the spelling, but it seems that most of you know this. So recessive, right? It's that double S, recessive. Yeah, so recessive gene. And here you would have 100% confidence. Okay, so you know that's right. You don't have to go back. Here you might have, like, let's say 70% confidence. If you have that, then you want to go back and look at the passage. Okay, but if you have 100% confidence, then don't waste time looking at the passage. All right, here's another good example of this. 16, evolution and something are both causes of the origin of red hair. This was clearly mentioned a couple of times in the passage. I wonder if anybody picked that up without having to go back. Yeah, very good. Geography, right? So the location of where people are. So evolution and geography. Again, being fairly simple when you visualize these countries that are in the north where there's not a lot of sunlight or not nearly as much as in other places. Okay. Number 17. In addition to red hair, the MC1R gene causes many something to occur on the skin. Now, this would be easy if you know the word. If you don't know the word, you'd have to check. Anybody remember the word for, and Wendy has this if you've been to Wendy's Burgers. Wendy's the girl with the pigtails. She's got those cute little pigtails coming out the side. And what does she have on her face? She has these little specks, and they're not called specks. There's a special word for that. Yeah, it's freckles. Freckles. Freckles is the word, freckles. 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 Yeah. And Dr. Krishna says myriad freckles, but you don't need the word myriad, Dr. Krishna, because many is the same as myriad, okay? So you don't need that word. Myriad means lots of, and you have the word many, so you only need the word freckles here. All right. All right, very good. So again, you have 4 questions here, and of the 4, you really should not be searching for all of them. Maybe 2 of them, maybe this one and this one. These 2, with careful reading, you should be able to pick up without having to go back to the passage. Now, I know I'm putting a lot of pressure on you to do well on the answers without skimming searching. But you want to practice that before your exam, because on average, you should not be spending more than 30-40 seconds on a question. Okay? When students are spending more than 30-40 seconds on a question, their error rate, or the chance of getting that question correct, starts to significantly decrease. Okay? When students know the answer to a question, when they know where the answer is in the passage, it usually doesn't take them more than 30, maybe 40 seconds. Okay? If you're taking more than 30 or 40 seconds to answer one question, the chances of getting that question right starts to significantly decrease. That's a measured statistic. Okay? My voice is cracking, Boomy. Is my voice cracking for anybody else? I'm just going to double check my mic here. There's a lot of things that could cause that, Boomy. It could be caused by YouTube connection as well. If my voice is off, then let me know. Okay? All right, is it a little bit better now, or is it still cracking? Battery seems to be okay. Beckjun says no, not for him. All right, if the voice gets really bad, do let me know. So just say, oh, the voice is getting really bad or something, and then I'll check, okay? All right, the audio. Okay, so yes, no, not given. You know how to do this. Okay, yeah, I think I was pushing on the antenna, Sammy, so that's probably why. Okay, thanks for letting me know. Maybe you just saved the antenna on my transmitter. All right, so here we go. Yes, no, not given. Let's go through this step by step. Number 18, excessive sunshine causes rickets. Now, when yes, no, not given is the second or third set of questions in the passage, it's more challenging than if it's the first set. So here we want to ask a question first, and you always want to ask in full sentence questions, okay? So what's the full sentence question that we first ask in our mind during the official IELTS for this question? Excess sunshine causes rickets. What's the first question that we have to ask here? Natalie? Nashat? What is the first question that you ask yourself? Full question here. Charlie says, what is the cause of rickets? Not necessarily, Charlie. It's not a bad question, Charlie. I think that's a good question, but that could be tricky to come up with. Beckjohn says, is it important to know about it? Boomy says, does high sunshine cause bone deformity? Excess, Natalie, means too much. Excess. Sorry, excess. Access means to be allowed in. Excess means too much. So too much sunshine causes rickets. If you don't know the word excess, you're going to be in a little bit of trouble. All right? Then you have to think of prefix, root, suffix. But remember that. It's a common word in English, excess or excessively. Okay? All right. The question that you have to ask is it important to know if sunshine and rickets are connected to red hair. Okay? So always go through this step by step when you're practicing at home. Ask yourself the full question. All right? This is what I would ask myself. Is it important to know if sunshine and rickets are somehow connected to red hair? And then my answer very quickly is yes, of course, because red hair is a genetic mutation which scientists believe is connected to sunshine and vitamin D. So yes, it is important. Okay, if I read the passage carefully, I know that's important. Okay, and then I ask myself the second question, which is it true that too much sunshine causes rickets? And then hopefully I remember that the answer is no, it's a lack of sunshine that causes rickets. So then I give the answer no. Okay, again, just showing you really want to go through these step by step. So no. Okay, let's go through these verbally now so we can get to all of the answers. High amounts of eumelanin is known to help absorb vitamin D. Is it important to know about eumelanin and vitamin D for redheads? Answer me this question first. For the topic of redheads, is it important to know about eumelanin and vitamin D? Boomy says important. So it's important. I'm just going to write imp. So it's given, right? So now, is it true that high amounts of eumelanin helps absorb vitamin E? So we've identified that it's important. Is it true that high amounts of eumelanin helps to absorb vitamin D? The answer is no. If you're not sure, check. Okay. Why am I sure? So the answer is no. Unfortunately, many of you would get this wrong in the exam. Okay. Careful. Some questions and answers are not as easy as they seem. Why am I sure that it's no? And I'm a little bit surprised that so many of you were so quick to answer yes. Okay. Again, it prompts me to tell you that you have to be an active reader. Why am I so sure that it's no? You should remember that, some of you. Remember my visualization for the second or third paragraph? I drew that. And then I even did the little sunburn there. High amounts of vitamin D. Right? Do you remember that drawing? I even drew out the low amounts of eumelanin and high amounts of vitamin D with the plus sign. I think I even had a little arrow there. Okay? So I drew out the answer for this one for you. Okay? You should remember that. Again, visualization is key to information processing. Okay? So the answer is no and no. It's low amounts of eumelanin helps absorb vitamin D. Okay? All right. You can't hear me now, Sammy. That's strange. You should be able to hear me. Oh, now, is everybody else okay? Can you hear me? It could be something to do, Hina, with the connection. It does say it's an excellent connection for me on the channel. All right. Charlie says it's audible. So it sounds like it might have something to do with the YouTube servers. Everything looks okay on my side. Okay. Yeah, all right. I don't know. It seems like it's different for different students. Girls, guys, remember this kind of live streaming of a class with a projection like this is still very new technology to do from a studio to many different parts of the world. So we're lucky it's even possible. All right, number 20. Let's do this. So redheads have difficulty adapting to their environments. All right. Is it important to know whether or not redheads have difficulty adapting to their environments? Pay attention to the tense. It's present tense, so it's general. So that means redheads today. So redheads today have difficulty to adapt to their environment. Important to know or not important to know? Think about it. Okay, what would be your logical answer here? What would be your logical answer? Hina says it's not important. Yeah, Nashat says it's not important. I agree. It's not important and it's not given. We don't physically adapt so much to our environment anymore these days, students. We adapt with technology. So these days, it really doesn't matter if you have black hair, red hair, blonde hair, pale skin, dark skin, red skin, yellow skin. We adapt using technology. The days of adapting physically is, well, coronavirus, maybe not over, but definitely less important than in the past. So not given, okay? In this case, not given. Number 21, redheads are less physically capable than non-redheads. Redheads are less physically capable than non-redheads. Is it important to know, again, in general, today's concept, that people who have red hair are not as able to do activities as people with? No, it's not important. Okay? Again, think about all of the people in the world with red hair, blonde hair, black hair, brown hair. Does their hair color impact their physical abilities? No. Okay? The author is not going to mention that. It's not given. All right? If you don't recall visualizing this, okay, that's another, so another way that you can do this, students, if you're having difficulty, if you're like, oh, Adrian, but how do you know that it's not given? Okay, ask yourself this question. Did I visualize it? So when you are a bit unsure of whether or not the answer or the statement is important, hence given or not given, ask yourself, did I visualize any pictures about this? So, for example, in this case, did I visualize red-haired people not being able to run like people with black hair? Okay. If you answer no, then clearly the right answer is not given. Okay? This is another reason why visualization is so important, is because it helps you identify what content is given and what content is not given. And this is exactly why you should never read these questions before the passage, because then your visualizations will get confused. Is that clear? That was a really important point that I just made there. So give me a thumbs up if you understand that, right? So visualization helps you to separate or distinguish given and not given information. If you read these types of questions before the passage, that will become much more difficult. Okay, that's why you don't want to read these before the passage. Okay, good. Dr. Krishna, thank you. Clear. Sammy, good. Okay. All right. Students, let's keep moving here. let's keep moving. So now it's the summary completion, and here we have some possible answers. I have to shrink it a little here. So here we're dealing with redhead misconceptions. Misconceptions means false understanding. So concept is an idea. Miss is a miss. It's a bad. So bad idea. Redhead, bad ideas. And we read a lot about that. Boomy, I love the emoji. So we read a lot about that, right? About these myths. Exactly. Misconceptions are myths. So false ideas. Okay. So let's do this together. There, it's a maximum size I can get it to fit on the screen for you. So redheads have suffered from a number of negative stereotypes throughout their history. Now, I hopefully remember some of these, like evil and witches and so on. Notable in some cultures, they were thought to lack a something, so not have a something. What is that? It has to be a noun, because it's so it's a noun, right? So I know I'm looking for a noun here, not an adverb, adjective, or verb. So it's false, cleanliness, generations, quirky, proportion, soul, or number. So what did they lack? So Boomy says soul. Yeah, soul is our essence. It's what we believe is God's gift to us, our being, right? Who we are. So soul, F. Yeah, that's correct. All right, good job. Today, conversely, so today oppositely, they are thought to be enjoyable and something people. Hopefully you visualize this as well. So false people, cleanliness, true, generation, quirky, proportional, soul, number. Now here, I know that I'm looking for an adjective, right? Because it's something people. People is the noun, so I'm looking for an adjective. The adjective here is quirky. When you're looking for adjectives, look for that Y. The Y is usually a good tip that you are looking at an adjective. That was an important tip, everyone. Hopefully you got that. Okay? So it's an adjective. Looking for the letter Y as the last letter is good indicator. Okay. So B, quirky people. All right, the perception that redheads are dying out is entirely something. I'm looking for a noun here as well because the MC1R gene is recessive. So redheaded people are dying out is entirely false. Cleanliness, true. Generations, quirky, proportion. So I've got quirky, I've got soul, and I have a feeling it's going to be either A or E here, and hopefully I remember that it's A, so it's false. They're not dying out. Okay, there's probably more redheads today than ever before. Okay, so because the MC1R gene is recessive and can miss something, so the gene is recessive, it means it's not in every child, so it can miss what? For this kind of question, you should be able to answer almost every one of these without looking at the passage. So A, C, E, G, B, D, or F, which one is it? Boomy says it's generation or generations, which is G. Now, Boomy, make sure in your answer sheet you're putting the letters. Right? G. G for generations, good. Right? Okay, redheadedness has been around for thousands of years, and though the something of redheads in the world may decrease, they are here to stay. So what do you think? It's a noun again because it's the. What do you think is the correct answer? Last one, 27. Though the something of redheads in the world may decrease, they are here to stay. It's D, the proportion. Okay, so proportion, not number. Number is tricky, but it's proportion is the correct answer. Why? Because students, remember, in today's world, we have billions of people. So even though it seems like there's more than ever before. So it's not the number of redheads, but it's the proportion of redheads. That's tricky. Again, IELTS is not just testing your English, it's also testing your logic. That's a really good example of testing your logic, right? There's probably millions and millions of redheads in the world today. In fact, I would guess tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions. But because there are billions of people, right? There are more number of redheads today than ever before, but the proportion is less. So the relative ratio. Does that make sense? So it's tricky, but again, IELTS does test for that band 9. Band 9 is not just about English. Band 9 is about critical thinking and powerful logic. Okay, that's why band 9 is rare. All right. Okay. Students, great job on this reading passage. That was a step-by-step of how to go through a reading passage and get the right answers. And you can do a lot more of these on the website, of course, in your My Student account. For all of our viewers, be sure to check us out at aehelp.com for academic IELTS and GIELTS help.com for general IELTS. You are very welcome, Dr. Krishna. I'm glad you enjoyed that. You're welcome, Nazir, Elena, Nashat, Bhumi. Students, in 30 minutes, IELTS listening section, parts 1 and 2. Stay present, practice. Hopefully I'll see you soon. Bye for now.